Mental health in relationships.
Mental health.
Personal journeys of overcoming the stigma of therapy and embracing holistic wellness in marriage.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We are the Wins.
Yes.
And we are the Jacksons.
So I want to take this time to just thank you guys for rocking with us for this long. And thank y'all for reaching out saying, where the other podcast? So we got it out there. But anyway, we try to do them for y'all, get them out for y'all at least weekly. And we just want to say thank y'all for rocking with us.
Yeah, thank you.
One way that y'all can continue to help us grow is by liking, commenting, and sharing this podcast and the content. And also message us your questions. Message us your questions. Anybody else want to say something?
You said it all.
All right. So let's get into it. No further ado. Mental health in relationships. So we're gonna start with our first question. We got notes tonight. Why is it hard for men to open up or talk about their problems? Why is it hard for men to open up or talk about their problems? Let me give you an example. Suppose you and I are having a disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
Why would it be hard for you to talk to one of your friends about the disagreement?
Well, when you look at it, you said, as a man, number one, you want to always make other people think at other times that your relationship is perfect. And the thing is, so what you're saying to yourself, you say, number one, if I talk to him and let them know, well, let me backtrack. It has to be a trust issue. Do I trust him enough to divulge my business? That's number one.
Okay, so say if you have a friend, like you do, that you can trust enough to talk your business to, do you reach out to them? Have you reached out to them in the past and say, hey, I'm having this issue with Val and I just need to talk it out?
I think I may have done that once in 32 years.
See that?
I believe it. It probably had to be so bad. Yeah. It wasn't anything that you was probably like, hey, this is my good dude. I know I can trust him. I respect this guy, because that's very important for you guys in order to talk. You got to respect this person. But it has to be so bad, like really, really bad. In order for me to say, hey, man, what do you think about this? I mean, how do you think that I handle this? Have you ever had this problem maybe with Leslie or something like that? Or have y'all ever ran into this issue? Us women, if it's somebody that we know and we have our good girlfriends, our best friends, somebody that we can trust, we're going to reach out. Yeah. Because we communicate different. That's what we are. We do a lot of talking. Yeah. We want to be heard. We going to talk. We're going to give y'all all the tea and all the extras. And y'all just be like, only the bare minimum for y'all. Y'all only going to give the bare minimum.
Yeah. And the thing is, it'll be hard to have the truth. It'll be hard to have a conversation with another, because number one, we're not going to get into detail.
What say you?
What say you?
What say ye, Lester? What's your thoughts on that?
First off, I know, and I can speak on me. I was raised in a house where your business, your business is your business. So first off, I don't talk to people about my wife. That's my wife, so you don't get privy to my wife. Second of all, I don't want to hear your input about my wife. You don't get that. So for me to talk to somebody like that, they got to be somebody who's able to come talk to me about my wife. Yeah. And everybody ain't like that. And most men, you hold your wife close to you. I mean, that's close, and if you have issues, we try to work it out, because most men, let me say this, I'm not saying all men, most mature men are, a word that I use, and Leslie know, are duty bound by what they do, as far as taking care of their home, taking care of their family. And that is priority. So that's why you have a lot of men walking around today that may not be happy with things that are going on. They may have problems with things that are going on, but their duty is they've made an obligation, and their duty is to take care of their homes. So, which is why you have a lot of men who are in relationships or in marriages or in positions that they're not happy in. Mm-hmm. So they just are on autopilot. They just go and do and continue to do and continue to do and continue to do because it's what they do. And if you look at the statistics, men have a very high suicide rate. Mm-hmm. You have to look at statistics. You have men stay in marriages more than women. Women are the ones who file for divorce more.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wait. Look at the statistics. Look at the numbers.
Okay.
Women file for divorce faster because when they're not happy, they file for divorce. But men are more duty bound. They stay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now I ain't saying that men are perfect. No, by no means am I saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying when they're in marriages, they stay.
Yeah.
Versus women, when women not happy, women leave. When they're not happy, they leave. Those are the numbers. Look at the numbers. I'm just saying statistics. The numbers show.
Yeah.
So, but when you think about men that don't, it takes a man a lot to start talking about things because you have to trust who you're talking to, and you have to make sure that whoever you're talking to is not going to throw it back at you and use it against you. Which is why a lot of times it takes men a lot of times to tell their spouse stuff, because if you tell them something and then they use it against you, you don't get it no more. Yeah. It's just the way that we're and I ain't saying all men, it's just the way some of us are made. Yeah. It's just it is what it is. But mental health wise, it's a thing for men, and we try to be strong all the time. Men always. I saw a saying one time. A man said that he told. Matter of fact, there was a lady who wrote a book. She was she dressed as a man for a year, but the first thing she did, this lady was on a TED Talk, and she was saying, the man told her, it's convenient that you did this book all about women, but you never asked anything about men. Mm-hmm. And she said she never looked at it from that point of view. And she said that what he said was his family would rather see him die on his white horse than fall off of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was heavy. Yeah. For you to think about that.
That is.
And so this chick, she dressed as a man for a year. She said because nobody had any idea what men deal with. So she dressed as a man for a year, and she did it, and after that she committed suicide because people had no idea what men endure.
I wonder what drove her to
because it was so detrimental to her. Yeah. When she found it out and how she had to live through it, she ended up killing herself.
She couldn't handle it.
Yeah, she couldn't handle it because of what men endure. Mm-hmm. And like I was sharing with Leslie the other day, there was an interview of a lady that I saw on YouTube, and the guy was talking to this lady, it was a married lady, and he asked her, he said, was talking to her, someone asked some questions, and he said, you're married? She said, yeah. He said, is your husband happy? And she just like paused, and she said, well, normally you ask if I'm happy. He said, well, we're taking a little different route. Mm-hmm. And she gets offended.
But that is often the question, though. They often ask,
right, but
is the woman happy?
Right.
So to ask if a man is happy.
She was offended by that because he asked her, was her husband happy? And she never answered the question.
Well, I think that is in itself is a problem.
Yeah.
Because I can't agree with you. A lot of things are geared towards the woman, and I know most men that I know, they're going to try to make sure that their wife is happy. Think of the saying is happy because they say
happy wife, happy life. I mean, think about it. Just think about the things that are in place for women.
The thing needs to change. It needs to be both are happy. So what men need to understand is, number one, it is okay to have. Of course, you're not going to go talk about stuff to anybody.
No.
You have to have somebody.
You need an outlet.
Number one, you have to have an outlet. It's okay for you to say, hey, I'm not okay. Or I just need somebody to hear me out. Other than I need another perspective. I need somebody just to listen to me. Yeah. It may be that you feel like, your spouse isn't listening to you, you're constantly arguing, you know, you don't even want to talk about the topic because you bring it up and it turns toxic, or you know, you have to have somebody that you trust in order to talk about stuff, because that is not healthy.
What it is
holding it in.
Yeah, internalizing it.
Well, men
So
do that.
when it get too much to carry, then the explosion comes.
And not only explosion, different things start happening. So I might not have a guy friend that I can talk to.
Yeah.
But I might have a work wife.
But we don't do work.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know.
What I'm saying, no.
Don't
You
cross
see what I'm
that
saying?
boundary. I
No,
see what
don't
you're
cross
saying,
that boundary. But sometimes, I don't have a man, but I don't even intend
Right.
for me to go out there and talk to this. But I end up just, the topic come up and I end up talking about, well, such did you end up next thing you know, you talking about all this stuff you ain't got no business talking about. And that's who you confiding in.
Right. But I'm gonna say this: you go to work.
Yeah.
You really don't go to work to make friends.
No.
You know, even though you become friends with different people that you work with,
Right.
you know, you really go to work. And
Well-
I think what happens when because we dealt with the opposite sex once before on this podcast doing this series, I think what happens is what Leslie is saying. When I can't talk to nobody else and my female coworker happens to be there and we on the late shift and she's going, you haven't been yourself, what's going on?
Right. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, got to be careful.
You know, and so what I feel like men need an outlet, some type of outlet. Like
Lord.
he like to go to the gym. That was his outlet. Walt used to run. Gonna get back into it.
That's right.
You know,
so healthy.
but he needed the outlet to, like my son goes to the gym. I know that's a big thing, and I like to walk. When I go for my walks, it clears my head. But at the same time, I got to get on the phone and I got to run this by my girl because I got to check myself. So you need friends that'll check you. I know y'all mentioned before, you got to have some guys around you that'll call you out on your, on your bullshit.
That's right.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can't have, I mean,
But
it's
it takes
not
you
okay,
up.
just like a girlfriend to go along with stuff that you know is not wrong. Oh, I'm riding for you till the wheels fall out.
Yeah.
It
girl.
takes you a while to build that tribe.
If you're not okay with this girlfriend, you don't like her, I don't like her, all that old silly mess. No, if you wrong, call y'all sis. No, that wasn't right the way you did that.
Right.
No,
Right.
man, I'm sorry. The way you handled it was not right.
Right.
Man, look, you know, this is the way I would have done it.
Yeah.
Or maybe look at it from this point. You know, you have to have somebody that you can trust that can hold you accountable or at least help you to see a different perspective.
Right.
Right.
Because other than that, then there go the devil running rampant with you all the time, trying to make you think the worst thoughts, the most negative, because his job is to destroy whatever you have at marriage is at the top. He wants to destroy that because then the families are destroyed. Once the families are destroyed, then your communities are destroyed. Once your communities are destroyed, then hey, there's everything else.
Yeah.
You know.
And for men, but the thing is, for men, you have to admit something is wrong.
Oh,
Right.
Okay.
Oh.
And first, before you can admit it, you have to believe it.
Yeah. You gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Yeah.
Because
What you mean you gotta see it? You gotta believe it.
But well, this is the thing. Men have an ego. All men have an
Yeah.
ego. And so the thing is it's just like, all right, the other night, we were talking about something the other night, drinking water in the morning when they get up.
Oh.
And I said, well, you know what? Chat GPT said if you do this, and you said, I told you that months ago.
I said,
But it took
I said years ago.
and it took Chat GPT to tell you that. And so with men are not going to, most men are not going to do anything until they're ready.
yeah, exactly.
Because in their mind, they're working on something and it hasn't failed yet.
Right. Right.
Even though the other people may have failed, but in their mind, until they
the system
realize
that they own
So
is
let me reiterate this story. I drink alkaline water. I had told him years ago, you know, you need to drink alkaline water when you first wake up. If it's not alkaline, just put you cut your lime or whatever, put in there so you can, make sure your digestive system
It's the moving, yes.
Yes. You need to do that in the morning. And it needs to be room temperature water.
Right.
Okay?
That's all I drink.
So he's like, room temperature, my water gotta be cold. I did this now. Left him alone. Then he come telling me about Chat GPT. I see him with the alkaline water, and he talking about Chat GPT.
Well, this is the thing.
And I was like,
Hold on.
I say, didn't we just talk about this on the podcast? How I can tell you something, and it's not until somebody else tell you something. In this case, it's Chat GPT, and you believe it.
No, but not that. That's partly correct, but then that's partly not.
Okay.
Men are not going to do things when they feel it's not needful. If I don't need, like drinking, at that time, I was like, I don't need to drink water for it. But then when I start getting up lately with heartburn, now it's a reason now I need to reevaluate this
What
situation.
you're doing, yeah. It's a reason.
Because now it's something that's making me uncomfortable. And I feel it's not doing right. Something is not going on correctly that I have to now look at this situation and change.
Yeah, you got to reevaluate the
So
situation.
what you did was Chat GPT.
Well, I chat everything right now. Yeah, let me see what they say.
Let me give y'all an example of that. And I'm gonna tell you, Val, I don't know about you, that kind of stuff gets under my skin. To the point is, after being married all these years, you know what I do? Just like we did last night, we was going to the movies, and I knew he was going the scenic route, and we ain't had but 20 minutes to get to the movie. So instead of doing what I normally do is, babe, where you going? Such and such. Then what happens? He ended up getting agitated because I didn't say it.
I wasn't agitated.
Where are you going? But I'm saying I'm doing things different after all this time. So you know what I do? I sat over there and I'm just a looking.
Yeah.
And I'm just a
But what did I tell you when we got to the
I'm
house?
not saying a thing.
But what did I say when we got to the after the
movie?
movies?
To the movie, we late because
Nope.
I have learned that with a man, some things, if it ain't that important, I just let it be. And then when he realized, I said, babe, do you see how we went? You missed your exit. But I let you go ahead on and go to scenic route. We really ain't had time.
No, when we pulled up.
Oh, I forgot about it, baby.
No,
but
that's not what I said. What did I say?
Okay, but I chose to not say anything. What I normally would say.
But I told her when we got there, I said, when we got there, I said, I wasn't aware that I could take there and take the exit. I thought they had to go further down to the league. Remember I said that? Because I wasn't aware that I thought the exit went all the way around to Highway 3. I wasn't aware that I could go off right there.
Look, at the end of the day, okay.
So yeah, I own it. If I don't know it, I'll say I don't know it.
Ladies, that ain't the truth.
That is the truth.
Ladies, I don't know about y'all.
Because she
when
just
y'all in the car, why is this? This off topic, but
okay, wait.
He will not admit that he's going the wrong way, and you better not say, babe, this is not the right turn. You better not say he go right. Let me tell you,
I knew.
Won't use GPS, won't pull it up. But I know where I'm going.
You a liar.
Right.
Big Mo know where he going, and a man in the
You
room.
lying.
Oh, babe.
You a liar. You said I don't use GPS.
Sometimes he'll use
You're
it.
a liar.
When the time when he should be using it, that's the time he don't want to use it.
You're a liar. I don't use GPS.
You don't use it that often.
I use it when I need it.
You be going off of your dome. You see that? He be going off of his dome. But you know what I do? Sometimes I just, instead of fussing, now this is growth, y'all, and I'm going to tell y'all what else. Therapy, we're going to get into therapy. You don't always have to, you got to pick your battles.
Yeah. You
got to pick your battles. You don't always have to, because I used to show up to every fight.
Yeah.
I used to show up to every fight. I don't care how big, how small.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have the last word at every one. Now I'm like, it's not even worth it. I mean, it's not life or death. So what y'all be a little late to the movies? Let him go ahead on and joyride. You might find another store that you might need to go to that you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Oh, here go another store on joyride that he's taking us all out the way.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at
Now
you.
you done made me look like I don't know where I'm going. I don't never use GPS. I'm just
For the record, the most intelligent men I know.
Good
And that is
Lord.
one of the things that is so attractive to me about him. So see, I went on record, boo.
Yes.
Because I love that.
Let the record show.
I let the record show your intelligence is one of the things that is hella attractive to me. Okay, don't ever doubt that. You need to know. We can agree to disagree, babe.
But you knew you took that scenic route.
You know
because y'all when I got there, y'all be doing stuff like that.
But when I got there,
Walt told me one day we going down the street and I'm looking and I think we were going. Polo needed to be to the vet at a certain time, and I say, well, why didn't you go the other route that don't have any stop signs? And he thought about it, and then he came back. He say they doing some construction down there. And I said, it's okay. So I took the route coming back.
I can show you right now. I can show you right now that they are.
But you see,
it was just a bump in the road. It was just a bump where you have to drive over a bump.
Yeah.
You know the little thing because they were draining the lakes where we live. And so the thing is, you could have drove over that and we still would have, cut off by 5 minutes. But y'all be wanting to take that scenic route. Y'all do.
No, I don't. I just didn't realize I could take the exit.
Well, the thing is, I feel like whatever route we take, the universe is meant for us to take it. Because if it wasn't meant for us to take it, we wouldn't have went that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it can be maybe the universe have us going that way because it's an accident. You're going this way.
You're being guided. You're being guided.
Yeah.
All right.
So the ultimate thing there is just teaching patience.
Exactly. And you learn that after a while. You learn that. We learned that with therapy. We talk about that. We had to learn that.
Yeah. Learn it there.
Yeah.
We learned it.
But I still want to know, what is it about a man that, I so appreciate that you guys feel like, hey, this is my household, this is my issues. Number one, you guys are veterans, so you are trained not to complain about everything. And we had to work on, also in therapy, that just because you say, hey, babe, it bothers me that every time we get in the car, you always want to say, well, why you going this way? And why don't you go this way? Why can't you just sit back and ride and let me get us where we're going? So I have to learn, that's right, I don't have to complain. It's not always about the way that I do it. And if we don't do it my way, then that means it's wrong. So that is also showing him respect. I had to learn that. But at the same time, it's like, it is okay for you to say that. It doesn't mean that because you said, hey, babe, you always say something about when we driving the way that I drive. You always have something to say. That doesn't mean that you're weak or that you're complaining because you said something to me about it. That means that's effective communication. That means that you didn't take a problem that you may consider small that can turn into something else. It can turn into resentment, and all kind of other little things because you didn't voice your opinion because you didn't feel like it's not nothing. It's not life or death, but it is because every time we get in the car and I start saying something, you get agitated. He'll be like, "No, I'm not driving no more. You drive."
Yep.
I'm driving no more. You drive.
Walt pulled over one day and say, "You got it."
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
well, I mean, because if you complain about me driving all the time, then you need to drive.
Yeah, Walt pulled over one day and said, "You got it."
But that's a logical evaluation. You don't like the way I drive, then you drive.
Here's the thing with me, and it could be, I had to explain to Walter. With me, because I have been in car accidents. One car accident where the car flipped over into the ravine. Ooh. So when you driving on somebody's bumper, I'm scared.
Yeah, that's
I don't come out and tell him I'm scared. But like if I see a car and they already hitting brakes, they hitting brakes up there. That agitates him.
Oh, him
to
too.
the fullest.
Him too.
He's like, I don't see. You think I don't see them red lights?
He say, Val, I'm paying attention. But here's the thing: how we ended up going into that ravine is because the person that was driving was paying attention, but miscalculated. And to avoid hitting the car in front, swerved and the car flipped.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only wreck I was involved in. There was another one where we ended up between the car spun out of control. And we ended up between 2 18-wheelers. I could have got killed.
Yeah.
And so therefore, when I'm saying, hey, they hitting brakes up there, it's not that he's driving bad or what have you. It's just that I know how quickly it can turn left.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, that's how the trauma is.
But I tell, but I also tell her, I say, in the 3 decades plus that we've been together,
3 decades.
how many wrecks have we been in with me driving?
But that doesn't mean.
But that goes back.
You have good intentions. I
But
know.
no.
God, you didn't been.
No, what he's saying though. What he's saying is, that's what he's referring to. That's a sign of trust. Because look at me, for this many years, I've been driving us around, and how many times have we had problems?
Let me say this.
But this shit
So you don't trust me?
Let me say this. There's trust and then there's trauma.
Right.
Okay. So you want me to just trust you when I done told you, hey, and don't get me wrong, I love when while drive me around. I hate to drive. I ain't gonna lie to nobody. But if we on the freeway and he's speeding, I'm nervous.
Right.
And at one point he told me, just look at your phone. Don't even look up. You know, in other words, do something with yourself, because I'm gonna be over there hitting brakes if we're in traffic. Well, I went from driving low ride. His little, what you used to have?
A truck.
Yes.
Yeah,
Low
bro.
rider.
I mean, and I had no problem with that. To speed racer. I don't know when he became speed racer. I don't know when he became speed racer.
You gotta live in Houston. You gotta be speed racing.
Yeah.
And then with our car, I had to tell him. I say, well, listen, the car, you got to put it in sports mode for it. I don't even know why I told him that.
Oh no, you don't even
That's
have to
like
tell
us.
him that. This dude thinks that he is on the
Indy Express.
that's what he thinks. He's
Autobahn.
Autobahn.
I be on the Autobahn, baby.
I think that's just a man's thing. But I'm like, Lord have mercy, we are.
You gotta sometimes you gotta feel the need for speed.
No, I just think that's a man's thing.
But
I think
that
that's what it is.
comes from trauma, and the thing is trying to make that connection there where he understands, where he makes me feel safe when he is driving. You know, I don't want him to be driving slow like a turtle, but then I cannot talk because I have a lead foot as well. You know, but we still working on it.
That's the thing too. This is the exact thing what y'all talking about. Happened the other day. We was going. Was we going to Beaumont? Where we was going? And I said yes. And y'all know how that construction is bad closer when you get past her.
Yeah.
And it's gone like that one lane, whatever. And there he is in sport mode in my car flying.
Yeah.
And I'm over here, me and Jesus. And I said, babe, when we get ready to get up here to this construction, would you please slow down?
I did.
So instead of him slowing down to the speed limit,
I did the speed limit. The speed limit was 55.
now, boo, this is what he does. In a 55, he goes 40. That is why he does that just to make a point. No, he's gonna correct me. I'm gonna fix her. He do it.
The speed limit was 55, so I slowed down to 55. She said, "Well, you can go speed limit."
No, he didn't.
I'm looking at the speed. I'm looking at the speedometer. No, I wasn't.
It was so slow.
Okay. I'm not finna even argue this point.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm not even gonna argue this point.
To me to say, oh, okay, she didn't tell me to slow down. I'm gonna slow down. Tell all the cars is passing us, but he's still in a fast lane.
If they doing 65, yes, they passing us. I'm doing 55 because it's construction, and the speed limit said 55, so I slowed down to 55.
Now, my question to the women would be this: when do you trust us or do you not trust us?
If we didn't trust y'all, we wouldn't get in the car with y'all.
Okay, then, because you trust us, you know that we're going to get you from point A to point B safely.
Because I don't want to kill myself.
There you go. And I don't want to do anything to hurt anyone else or cause an injury to you or I that could be detrimental. And so therefore, you can't bring that baggage from what other people did to me. Hold
up. Don't try to smooth it over, because you know I'm finna come with something. You know I'm finna come with something. Now hold on. Say that again.
You're bringing that baggage of other trauma of other people who was driving. You're putting it on me. You're bringing that bag in the car.
Okay. When we flipped over in the ravine, the person who I trusted my life the most was driving. That would be my mother. Mm-hmm. So if I trust you now, and you in that same category now. I trust you with my life. That's not really gonna change. I'm not bringing. I'm not
a traumatic experience.
No, it is.
Not only that, Walter, no, the car. I done been in cars that then flipped at least 3 times.
But
three different times.
But he's not your mom.
The first car I was in the car with my mom, I flew out of the car and she had to swerve from hitting me. That was as a child.
Wow.
Then when we was going to college, she flipped over into the ravine. You know what I'm saying? Now when the third time the car spun between those 18 wheelers and stuff, we were leaving Lamar going to the mall. It was raining, the guy was driving crazy, and the car spun out of control. What I'm saying to you is, I done cheated death.
It wasn't your time. It wasn't your time to go.
No, but I'm saying God is good, and it's probably not that she doesn't trust you, Walt. No, it's not that she don't trust you. She's had a traumatic experience.
On 3 different occasions.
She was in a car with me. She was in a car with her brother. Anybody else? If you was in a car with Tony, she would probably still, if they were driving their well, getting up on somebody or the brake, she would probably still in her back of her mind thinking an accident can happen at any time. How would you not just say, okay, I'm going in here, I'm just chilling, I'm just gonna be just you? She's gonna probably always have that trauma. It doesn't mean that she doesn't trust.
But then when you have that, okay, and he says, well, sugar, if you have a problem with me driving, you go ahead and drive. That's not trying to offend you. That's saying you might be more comfortable driving, so you go ahead and drive.
Yeah, and he tell you, I'll drive on occasion. You know, then he be like, "Girl, you trying to kill me?" I drive on. So we have this little thing that we go back and forth. But no, Walt, no, I trust his driving. It's just that when he driving too fast, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah. And that's
and then when he done been in the car plenty of times, and you know this has happened, you be like, girl, I ain't even see that. Good thing you said something. I ain't even see that. So
that's few and far in between there, people. Because I'm an excellent driver for 3 decades plus. She have been in that passenger side, and I've getting her from point A to point B safely.
She's been a passenger princess.
He's the only driver where we totaled out a car. I wasn't in the car with him at that time. My son was.
Oh, I hit a curb.
And told about the car.
It happens.
Hey, but that wasn't a wreck. I hit a curb.
It happens. I think when you talk about, like, you know, when we're talking about like this type of stuff and like saying somebody else, when we were talking about before, can come along and tell you guys, because I just thought about this, some of the same things, or why you guys may not listen to something that we tell you. It has to be something traumatic to happen before we listen. Let me tell y'all. This one right here used to leave his wallet, his weapon, all that in the car.
Yep.
Locked. But is that smart for you to leave your wallet? I don't care if it's in the console. I don't care if it's out of sight. Should you be doing that? Oh no. I said it a million times.
Yeah.
So I had said it this time, and it used to agitate me because I'm like, baby, if something's going to happen, what is the problem? Why do you keep doing this? It's the silliest thing to me. Full of money, all your everything in your driver's license and your weapon. He got up one morning thinking he was going to go to work 3, 4 o'clock, and his truck said, "Look for me." Somebody had to stop.
Oh, my gun and my wallet wasn't in there.
With his gun. Honey, it was. Remember that time they didn't take it because they was joyriding. Yeah. Thankfully, it was some young kids. Yeah. They had left the truck behind the
it was the
restaurant. It was still running. They had been joyriding.
Tour guide.
That was just a blessing, because anybody else would have went through there, would have looked at, did a shopping spree with your cards, took your guns off, all of that. But see, that kind of stuff, it takes for something like that to happen.
For change to happen. It takes something traumatic, because in his mind, like you said, Walter, y'all gonna do what y'all want to do when y'all want to do it. Yeah.
Well, that's anybody. Anybody's gonna do.
That's not anybody. That's men. Because y'all don't want to admit that. You don't want to admit that you're wrong. It takes a lot, even for a man, to admit that he's wrong.
That's true. Because the male
ego. That's true.
Because like you said, you've been doing something. You know, the saying that the only thing that changes a man is time. because he has to be shown that what you're doing is incorrect or not right, because especially if you've been doing it for so long, and you have to be recognized of a known problem. And if it's never recognized as an issue or a problem, then you're never going to change it.
I will point in case you have to have people to hold you accountable.
Right.
It happened to us in the last session. We were talking about this but can't take it. Thank God. I don't care what I did, even I would say filing for divorce after the adultery issue, years after years. You know what it took? Exposure. When people found out, he was not only did it take that, he was embarrassed. Okay? And it was a shame that it took all that, because in his mind, love you to death, babe, but it's the truth. Everybody saw him as Lester. He is a good guy. This guy always take care of his family. He took care of his first wife before, and she cut up and did her thing after the food, did not appreciate him. Lester's a good guy, almost like a person that was spotless. Like I could never see him doing this stuff.
Ain't never been spotless.
I mean, I'm not saying that, but it's like in a lot of people's image, they could never see him doing the things. But it was
out of character.
It was out of character. It took exposure.
Yeah.
And when he was exposed, then he had to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that somehow, along with I'm about to lose my wife or whatever, because he could have very well just went on by his way and said it's easier for me to start over. But in his mind somewhere that said, okay, I gotta stop with the foolishness.
Yeah.
But to me, it wasn't until he was accountable, because at the same time, he didn't want nobody to know what he was doing. He didn't want nobody to know.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's
nobody.
that accountability. That's why I'm saying it's important. It's not just about
anytime you're doing something that is unfavorable and frowned upon, especially when you're doing something and you care about somebody and you care if somebody knows about it. No, you don't want nobody to know about it. That's why you lie, because you're trying to hide what you're doing. If I was just out there doing it and didn't care if you found out about it, then I didn't care about you at all. I just was gonna do what I want to do. But no, I cared about you, so that's why you hide what you're doing. But
I'm saying it took for an accountability, and it was unfortunate that it was a public accountability. Okay, to me, for you to say okay, and it always had to get to that. So why does it have to be not necessarily in that instance? At the same time, doesn't have to be something that you feel like you're doing wrong. Something just to say, now he has people that he knows that he can go to. And when things get to that point, hey, I have to go talk it over with this person. I have to go talk it over with my buddy or somebody that I feel like then gone through something, or somebody that I can just sit back and talk to. That's something he's had to learn.
Yeah, but it takes men a time to build those type of relationships, because like I said before, men have certain categories of friends. You got your riders that you can call 3:00 in the morning that you said you got to bury a body somewhere. And you got the 6 o'clock friend that you got to wait till you got to ask his wife for permission to leave the house and all that.
Yeah.
You got that friend. But you got the ones who are your friends who you can talk to about, look, man, I need your advice. And they ain't scared to tell you when you mess up. They scared, hey, look, so and so, you the fuck.
Yeah.
But they have someone
you have some friends like that
ride along with you no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And but you know who those are.
Yeah.
So you know who you can talk to some. And like I said, it takes, I'm 54 years old. I know who those people are who I can talk to and say XYZ that's gonna check me on my shit. I know who that is.
Yeah.
It ain't but a couple of them.
And that's all you need.
And the saying is all men only need 3 friends.
Yeah.
Three friends, you can take over the world.
Yeah.
But you gotta have the right three cats.
Yeah.
But if you can have people who are, and the word friend is used so loosely. When you got friends that are giving you as much as you giving them, or when you need them, they are there just as much as they need you.
Yeah.
That's the ones. That's your riders right there.
You're talking about
that's the people.
Reciprocal friend.
That's right.
Reciprocal.
One that pours into you just like you
Right
pour
there.
into them.
That's it.
that you can trust. And to me, there's been friends to me that, were presumably, good friends, but I have distanced myself from, because it's okay for me to go to you with this and to talk to you, and it's always like, oh, okay, well, what's going on with you? What's going on, such. But when it comes down to, okay, how everything, everything is fine, everything is beautiful, my world is great, we ain't having no problems. That's not no real friend.
No.
Yeah.
So you don't trust me enough to be transparent about what's going on with you, because you don't know, exactly. Your husband and I already said y'all ain't doing okay.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be mine, and then everything is wonderful and it's just so beautiful. I mean, like, no.
Now see, like for me, it's for as marriage. It's tough for me to talk to somebody because I've been married for 32 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got time
the
on some of the people that you know.
And the thing that we had, though, we did have mentors. I'm saying they were like mentors.
Yeah.
Because like brother and sister Porter.
Yeah.
Remember them?
Yeah.
The Alberts.
Yeah.
Well, Albert, Sister Albert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younger.
When we were younger, we had the mentors.
Yeah, and we had people.
And we had people that was, hey,
And I can't. And we have to definitely shout out Albert and Jeanette Wrong.
We got to shout out Albert and Jeanette Wrong.
Yeah, because they help. But this point in this stage of my life, being 55,
You're not
32,
you're not looking for nobody to talk to about that kind of stuff, because it's because you know when you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know when you're right. You know when you're not doing something right. You know when you need to go back and say, because I'm gonna tell you something. What I've come to find out is there's no whipping like God's whipping.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you something. When you wrong, God can be in your ear and he sound like a cannon going off in your head. Mm-hmm. When he telling you what you need to do, and you because I found. Let me tell you something. Shout out to Reverend Griff, because he told me this before. You can have conversations with God. Mm-hmm. He said, ain't nothing wrong with you having a conversation with God. He said, you have a conversation with God. Sometimes you may not like what God telling you. Right. Mm-hmm. He said, but you respect him. Yeah. You talk to him. Mm-hmm. You might go back and forth with him. Yeah. Don't get beside yourself and realize don't understand who you're talking to. Yeah. He's like, but you can get emotional talking to God sometimes. Yeah. Because he's telling you to do something that you don't want to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said, and that's fine. You do that. That's your father. He said, but you talk to him and you listen to him. Eventually, you're going to do what he tell you to do. Just like, look at everybody in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Moses ran, Jonah ran, all of them ran. Mm-hmm. But what happened? They end up going to do just what he said do. Yeah. He said, so you listen to God and you do what he tell you to do. Even when God, because he say, well, him and his wife say, sometimes God be telling me, go on back in there and apologize. I ain't talking to her. You be like, but that voice be telling you, now you getting loud and loud and louder. Yeah. You be like, all right. Yeah. But you have to hear that voice.
That's wrong.
But my aunt told me, even when you pray to God before, because it's the mistake that we make is we pray and we get up and go. But you have to pray and then give God time to respond to you and to hear his voice. And a lot of times we don't do that because we think, okay, I prayed and I'm good, now let's go. Yeah. No, it ain't. That's only one side of it.
Because I'm gonna say this: praying is us talking to God.
Right.
Meditation is us
listening for God. Listening for his voice.
What I've learned as I've gotten older, I meditate more than I actually pray. Because I need to know what God is trying to tell
you. That's it.
Because if I'm not paying attention to what God is saying and I'm always going to God with what I think,
don't let him stop you.
I'm acting out.
Don't let him stop you. Don't let him stop you, because he'll stop you.
and so I've learned to take my meditation time. It is very sacred to me, because I'm sitting there and I'm listening and I'm doing all the things that is required. Right. Of me. I had, a lot of y'all know, I don't even identify as Christian anymore. But I had to let some of those things go because of my mental health. Because we are talking about mental health. So to protect my mental health and to stop trying to meet other people's standards, I had to let that go. It is, you got to jump through all these hoops
No.
And we saved by grace. We're supposed to be saved. We,
People don't realize when you say religion, and I learned this years ago. When I was going to TSU, and I remember this thing. I remember this organization called Thai City, and when I was really conflicted at that time, and my grandmother asked me one time. She said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, Grandma, I didn't understand the point of religions, right?" And so I'm reading and going and stuff like that. I understand that religions are not what gets you in heaven.
No.
Religions are grouping mechanisms for people. That's all it is.
It's control.
It's control, and they fear monger you with certain religions. But if you learn the truth about what's really going on, the truth is you have a belief in a higher power, and you have faith in what Christ's word is. That's what gets you in heaven, because nothing you do makes you good enough to get in heaven. You're saved by grace. The only thing that saves you is grace. Nothing that you do down here is making you get in heaven, because you ain't worthy enough to get in heaven. Nothing that you do is going to be good enough. So Christ being our mediator is what gets us in heaven. So the people who say you got to be Christian, you got to be Catholic, you got to be this, you got to be that's just fear mongering.
But the flip side of that is religion is just a search for God. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, each religion believed
they are the one.
Yeah, and no one actually knows.
Right.
Nobody knows. So what it is your own individual journey. It's your own individual path that you choose.
Right.
And when you choose that path, you have to choose it. Don't let someone choose it.
Nobody chooses for you. That's right.
But I am gonna say this, since we on this in this theme, we talking about spirituality. If you're born in America, 9 out of 10 times you're gonna be born into a Christian household.
Yeah, because that's one.
If you're born in Pakistan, what type of household you're going to be born into?
Muslim.
Buddha.
Right. So if you're born in, say, Japan, what type of household are you going to be?
Buddhism.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So what's the ones that do the Hinduism?
What's her name?
In India. If you're going to be born Hindu. So all of these different places, wherever you born at, that's the religion that you're in, that you really walk into.
Yeah.
And I know as children we were taught, my parents used to say never question God, but the school that I went to, because I went to private school and it was Lutheran private school, you could question God. Yeah, and they taught us to do that. Now this school was predominantly white. Most of the time I was the only little speck in there.
Yeah.
But they taught me something different as far as Christianity goes that was being taught in the black church. And so
the black church fear mongers you,
listen. We went as high as you could possibly go in church. And what I mean by that is, it was Pastor Adolph that told me and Walter, he said, y'all are dynamic, but your gifts are for outside of the church. It's not just for the four walls. Right. And so here we are today with a podcast from people who has requested this. And we're talking.
Yeah.
Because our gift isn't just for the church.
Right. That's right.
Because if we all are God's children, everybody walking the earth is God's children, like we were taught to believe.
Right.
Then the kingdom is outside.
It's outside.
And so
right.
It's just a personal journey. I can't say the word.
And the thing is, that is something that can impact your mental health.
Oh yeah,
because the thing is the way that people said that you should be, and if you're not this way, you're going to hell.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
And so now the individual person is having a battle within themselves.
Right.
And that is such a big deal. Like I am. Oh gosh. Like now I am a substance abuse nurse. And when I tell y'all, I deal with this on an everyday basis. And I always will ask the patients, what brought you to this point, if I have an opportunity to. And a lot of it is because of they either disappointed someone in life, they didn't live up to someone else's standards, or I would say 98% of the time, their substance abuse is related to a mental health issue.
Yeah.
And it's because sometimes that mental health, made them feel like they were at rock bottom, or they could not function with that mental health without using this substance.
Yeah.
Because that substance helped them to not think about it, helped to mask the pain of what they were feeling, from whatever trauma, whatever disappointment, or what, and a lot of it is trauma. And it just really, really breaks my heart. So when you think about, like you said, the things that you are called to do outside of the church, there are so many different things.
Yeah.
And, I do the same thing and pray, like in my, for my next assignment, or, my choice. You have so many choices to go into, especially with nursing. God, send me to a place to where I can be used, and a place to where I understand, for me, because I am definitely an advocate for mental health. I have had, before I even knew that depression and anxiety was a mental health disorder. I had that when I was in high school. Didn't even know what that was. You just know that it's a feeling, and you just learn to deal with it. You just learn to evolve, and you deal with these feelings. So much so I am completely honest about a lot of stuff. And I tell you, I've been a cosmetologist for years. Back in the 80s, I was an innovator of weave. I always have been. Before, when it was just silky straight, y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. It was just that silky, silky, whatever it was. It wasn't all these different textures like it is, y'all. And when we was back in school, child, was wearing it. One day I would have short hair, shoulder length, and be down to my button. It's just, I'm thankful for that confidence in God for me to do whatever it is I felt like doing. It wasn't about what everybody else thought. But I learned to like that, because I like to change stuff up. But over time, I learned, I would say within the last 15 years, that it was my anxiety and depression that was completely taking my hair out. There's a lot of women that suffer with alopecia. That mental health that I didn't even realize that I had was dealing with me. I thought I was dealing with it. Or I was dealing with life, but I wasn't. Because number one, I didn't even know I had this. I didn't even know I had it. I just felt like this is the way you're supposed to feel.
Listen.
This is the way you're supposed to go through. You got to push through everything. You can't complain about that. You're a mom. You're a wife. You have all these other people that's depending on you. You always put yourself last.
And I'm going to say this. In the church, when you had problems like that, you go to an older sister. That's why we were blessed with the mentors that we had. The number one thing they would tell you is pray about it. So, bring it to God. They never told you to seek help outside of those four walls. You bring it to God, and you bring it to God, and you know something wrong with you. You know something ain't right. Something ain't right. And so you go back to the church, and they say, okay, we're going to put you with some counselors. That's what we talked about this once on the other episode. We're going to put you with some counselors that's in the church, and they laying out, the Bible says this, and the Bible says this, and you have to do that, and you just being disobedient. But you being obedient, and you doing the best that you can. And you like, something ain't right. And you finally find somebody. I'm not going to go to a Christian counselor. I'm going to find somebody else. And you learn you have anxiety. And you learn, there might be a chemical imbalance. You might need to take some medication for that.
And
and they want to identify it. No, seriously, as demons in the church. We're gonna pray this out of you. We're gonna no, and it's not a. So it's not a. How can I say this? It's not a thing where I don't believe in laying hands on people and things like that. You just have to have the right church home.
Yeah.
You have to have the right church home. But even in that, go see about yourself.
Because
God do heal through medicine.
He does. That's why he gave us the knowledge that he gave us to learn about all these medicines and all of these things. Medicines is medicinal, go all the way back to Africa. Hey, they treated each other by things of the earth. So
right.
God gave us all of that knowledge so that we be able to heal ourselves. But you have to understand that it's not just you can have that medicinal part for anxiety. Let's just say example, anxiety and depression. But if I don't have that relationship with God,
right.
I'll end up on that all the time, or I end up, probably suicidal or whatever at that point, because those pieces are missing. You gotta have it all together.
Right.
And you have to realize that I need God. God has sent me this medication to help me. I've now been diagnosed. I'm doing things, to take care of me. So not only am I putting my family first, my husband, my children, but I'm also taking time for Leslie.
Yeah.
Because without Leslie, if Leslie's not okay, I can't help everybody else in my family.
Right.
And that's so important. And it's so important for men to understand it is okay for you guys to say I'm not okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you are weak. That's actually a sign of strength for you to say, even if it's to us, your spouse, baby, I've been dealing with this for a while. We need to sit down. We need to talk. It's been bothering me. Every time I ask you, babe, what's wrong? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. Nothing. Or if I keep asking you about it, you get even more upset because I told you something. I told you I'm fine. But really, you're not.
You're internalizing it.
You're internalizing because you have been brought up to not complain about stuff. Men don't complain. Men don't show weakness. You keep on. You're pushing through. But it is okay for men too to say, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
I need somebody to talk to that I can trust. Of course you're talking to God if you have a relationship with him. Of course, that's your number one. You're talking to him all day and every day. But that's why he put us on earth. When you talk about the church, outside the four walls, we are the church.
Yeah.
We should be.
Yeah.
We should be carrying ourselves in a way that people can say, you know what? I have something to talk about, but it's something about Leslie or Lester, Walter, or Val that God is drawing me to them. And I might say, hey, sis, I need to talk to you about something. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we don't listen, but something about them that is drawing me to them to where I feel like I can trust them talking to me, or they will at least listen. We have to make ourselves available in that way. We have to carry ourselves a certain way. When somebody shares something with you that, they have gone out on a limb and trusting us with, we carry ourselves in a way till we know you can take that to your grave.
Exactly.
I consider myself, I consider myself honored, and I consider, it is my duty, to God, if somebody come to me or share something to me or my sister. First of all, it's like, God, you thought enough for me to come and share this with me. You didn't have to do that, but for whatever reason, God put it on your heart to come and share with me.
Exactly.
It is our duty to then take that and to go to God, whatever it is, pray about that and to do our best to help them, to encourage them, because we are God's angels on earth. God put us all here so that we can help each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's our job, and we don't get that. And there's so many, even amongst African Americans for sure. Not only men, it's really prevalent against men. We don't believe in no therapy. Y'all not gonna talk to nobody else about your business, and a lot of women too. And you sure not gonna go to therapy when sometimes it's not just about I need to go for my marriage. I need to go for myself.
Yeah, because I know
to go for me.
Because like for me, it was because I went to therapy and everything, but I never really drank much.
Yeah.
Or used anything. And so I was in corporate America, and I took it on head on, nothing. Didn't have any type of stress reliever or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, it became a point where, and I would tell Val, she would say, you can get you a drink to wind down. I don't need to wind down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it forward. And I took it It was decades, decades.
You was on 10 all the time.
All the time. And so the thing is that what drove me to therapy and things like that nature is that I would wake up every morning saying, oh yeah, we got diplomacy and we got violence. I'm going to choose violence.
Which one?
The blue pill or the red pill? I'm going to take the red.
You riding the lightning.
And so baby. I'm sitting there going throughout the day waiting.
Yeah.
I wish a Negro would.
I wish
it would.
Wow.
And I was ready. And so every day, I would pop off. It wouldn't take much for me to pop off.
Yeah.
If I didn't like the way you looked at me, what are you looking at? And so I came to a point and said, I told Val.
Don't seem like that.
I believe you. I told Val, I said, hold on, something's not right here. I said, I think I have an issue here. I said, because I'm mad every day. I wake up mad. I will wake up
noticed,
mad.
She was like that. She noticed how I was, and made me when I went to go find out when I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Yeah.
And she noticed it. She noticed how I was always edgy. I was just, and I mean, I was like, I've been like that. I was used to it.
Yeah,
I wake up mad. Things going on through the day. I mean, I hold grudge. I be mad for weeks, for days at a time. I be mad for long. And she was like, when I went to the doctor. The doctor was asking me questions. I said, yeah, my wife said this and this and this, that.
Yeah.
My wife said this. She said, well, yeah, she noticing something not right with you, I'm like, oh, I've been like this for a long time. Because then they would always ask me, why don't you say something? Why didn't you say this? Why didn't you say this? And I tell them, I say, well, you asking, I was in the Marine Corps. When you don't go to, because there was never a paper trail of me going to medical. And I said, well, you don't go to medical. You don't do that. I said, because your pros and cons go down. You don't get promotions and stuff, and then you get looked down upon for stuff like that. You don't always cry and go to medical. You don't cry and go to medical all the time. You deal with it. You deal what you got to deal with.
They deal with it.
Yeah, you deal with it. So you get conditioned because in certain situations you have to deal with whatever you have to deal with to make sure whatever got to happen happens.
Yeah.
So today, if it don't rain, it ain't okay. Well, whatever, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
What today, if the day is a bad day, okay, guess what? We still got to do this. Yeah. Whatever. The circumstance does not negate your responsibility.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I firmly believe. So today, if I'm having a bad day, I still got to put the trash out. I still got to go to work. I still got to pay bills. I still got to do this. This has to happen.
Yeah.
So whatever the circumstance is, my responsibility is getting to work. So if my truck breaks down or I get a flat, that's a circumstance.
Yeah.
My responsibility is getting to work.
Yeah.
So however I'm feeling is moot because the responsibility has to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's how we are wired. Yeah. We look at stuff.
Yeah.
So
appreciate
however you feeling, saying F your feelings, handle this.
Here we go.
No, I appreciate that. That means that you are men. That means that you guys prioritize taking care of your family. And then you don't do whatever it takes, even putting yourself aside. Same thing with how women are. We can do the same thing too. But we have to realize that it's a point in a time where, number one, you have to be able to say, hey, whatever I've been doing, like you said, you have to hit your breaking point and say, hey, look, I'm tired of waking up like this, going through my whole day, waiting to just, like you say, pounce on somebody because I'm angry all the time. But something went off in your brain sometimes. Instead, either something circumstantial happened or you say, you know what, this ain't okay for me to be like this. I need to go get some help. Now him, and I would say, if you think about, all of us, or pretty much around the same age. Think about our parents and our grandparents that may have grew up, especially our grandparents. They grew up maybe in the Depression and stuff, or just African Americans. When you thought about it, like, we all child of the 70s. We didn't grew up seeing some of everything, a lot of evolution, back when there wasn't no computers, where you was actually typing on a typewriter. We used to actually go to with your dimes, always keep a dime with you, so in case you can go to the telephone booth, which is absolutely obsolete. There was a such thing as riding outside with your bicycles. Not me, because I didn't used to sweat and get dirty, but you used to could go outside and ride your bicycles, be out there all day until
the lights come on,
and not have to worry about being snatched and all these crazy things that's happening to you these days. And we didn't even realize that was the good old days. But one thing then when you think about your grandparents and even your parents, they worked hard, they appreciated everything they had, and they didn't complain because they made the best of everything. That they had. Mm-hmm. They had gardens back then. You don't have nothing like
right.
Now we having to go back to them because get chickens. My daddy got a whole chicken coop with chickens. Okay. Right now, because of the cost of eggs, you having to go back to that kind of stuff.
I want some myself.
Economy, but we didn't realize they did that. That was their way of life. They did not complain about stuff. Mm-hmm. You did what you had to do to take care of your family. You always had to rise above and be excellent because we were African Americans. You couldn't be halfway. You couldn't be mediocre. You had to do your best at all times. Mm-hmm. And that's the way we were raised. And you didn't complain. And this person, my wonderful husband, was raised from a strong line of people. Not that I wasn't, because I was as well, but it was a different dynamic.
Right.
He didn't come to them if he had a bobo. Mm-hmm. You better not a bobo or whatever. You better shake that off or whatever.
What's a bobo?
You don't complain about that type of stuff. Something happened or whatever. His grandmother wouldn't say, you don't cry. You know what I mean? You don't be complaining about that. Shake that off. No, you go get that done. So you took a person that was raised in this dynamic to always be great. You can do anything you want to do, put your head to, and you don't do all this complaining. Whatever food that we cook, that I put down, if you want to eat, you eat it. And you don't sit around here and play with it. Right. You clean this plate and get up from here and go. Right. It was just like a different dynamic than now. Mm-hmm. Then take him and put him in the Marines. Mm. So you think that he going to come complain or he going to come tell you that he's hurting in some type of way? He's going to come tell you that, you know, the way that you handle me, or a wife, you know, I wish that you wouldn't talk to me in this way. Yeah. Or I wish that, you know, the way that you handle me in front of such and such, that wasn't okay with me. No, he going to keep on moving, and you better hope it don't turn into some outside behavior. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because he's not saying anything about it, but it end up, you have a distance going on there. Yeah. So, you know, it's just a whole lot of dynamics when it comes down to it. When you look at the way that you were raised, you know, speaking about the way that I really feel about stuff. No, because a man don't cry. Just like what he said, a man don't complain. You got to keep on doing what you're doing. But at the end of the day, your mental health is just as important as my mental health. Mm-hmm. When I realize something ain't right with you and something is going on with you, I want to know what's going on. And I'm so thankful that although we have to go through all of these bumps and we didn't got, like I said, I'm thankful we got all the BS out the way. Mm-hmm. We got all that BS out the way. Like we talked about in the last, all that, thank God we got all of that out of the way. Now we recognize that it's okay. He's just getting to the point to where he can say, like, you know, you Walter, hey, you know, therapy is working for us. We done been through several therapists before we found the right one. Yeah. But it's not a problem for us to go and talk to somebody. Even go by yourself. Yeah. You don't have to be with us. Go by yourself and talk to him. And you feel so much better, even if you just have somebody else to listen to you. Yeah.
Well, the devil makes you think that you're by yourself, that you're going through whatever you're going through. And when you realize that you're not alone, and when you talk to somebody, and this is the funniest thing, dude, I'm telling you now, because you think that your problem is so freaking massive. Mm-hmm. But when you talk to somebody whose problem dwarfs yours, you're like, holy crap. You know, you realize that yours, while it's bad, it ain't that bad. You know what I'm saying? And they made it through it. And you got to think, and you know, and the way I think is, if God can take care of him or their situation, well, I mean, he could take care of mine too. That ain't that big of a deal. Yeah, ain't that big a deal, because that's just how big God is.
But you know, the one thing you have to do with mental health, you have to take accountability and responsibility for yourself.
Oh yeah,
and what I mean by that, because you said something interesting. You say the devil will make me think. The devil don't make you think. That's what you think. Yeah. And because what you're doing is
y'all give the devil too much credit.
Because if you what you're doing when you say that, and when you say that, you're saying, "Oh, it's not me."
Right.
The devil made me do it, like Flip Wilson.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is that you never take responsibility for your actions and your thoughts because you're somebody else. So it's never you. It's never you. You. And so the thing is that once you take responsibility, say, oh yeah, like, you know, when I got to the point, I said, you know what, I'm tripping. Yeah. I'm tripping. Yeah. The buck stops with me because I can control my emotions. The things that I do, nobody made me do them.
Right. You have to be able to control them.
And so the thing is that I just got through with a group that I met in the VA. We meet for like 10 straight weeks. And sometimes what you do is you say, I'm always messing up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's not true. That's an absolute.
Yeah.
That's not
That's
true.
absolute, because
That's not true. And so the thing is it's the way you think. Why you think that way? What are you doing to think that way? And a lot of times that comes from when you were reared, someone told you weren't good enough, or they put a standard on you that you were unable to meet.
Right.
And so when that happens, then you start just going downhill from there.
Yeah.
And so for me, and is a man is always trying to establish himself, establish his identity. And so while, especially young, that's why a lot of times you can't tell a young bucks nothing.
Yeah, it takes one of us to talk to a younger one and say, look, I know what you're dealing with. I know where you're going. Let me tell you.
And even with that, when they're trying,
you have to go down in Bunker Road.
and even during that time when you tell them that they still have to learn for themselves, because I always say the best teacher of life is life itself.
Ooh.
And so the thing is, as we move forward, as men move forward, we have to mature, and we have to have men like us who went from that. Like I always tell Val, we have little cousins that are in their 20s and 30s and things like that. And my thing is not to be. We age gracefully,
right?
But I'm not going to be foolish.
No.
Right.
And so the thing is, because they need to see they need to see black men that
see the example.
Yeah.
Because
and so,
in essence, you become a role model. That's not something that you set out to do, but you notice, oh, I'm the role. What a minute in the family.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a role model.
Yeah, but you don't realize it. You don't realize it. You don't realize I done got to this point where everybody's saying, well, so he doing this. They looking at you, and you're like, well, especially me, because I'm a big kid, and I'm like, you looking at me like that. I'm like, I'm the biggest kid out here. Y'all don't understand.
We always say this, but you're just a kid from Hollywood Village.
But even though you have that personality trait, of the youngest, right? That's why you just a kid, and it's a good thing to be able to identify with that. But they looking at you.
Yeah.
They looking at you. Like, be cracking the jokes all the time. They be looking. They look at us. They say we fly and all that. Those young people are looking.
They're looking.
So you got to keep it real with them now.
Because they look at you. They look at you and they see the finish. Not the finished result, but they see where you're at, and they don't see. The hardest thing for somebody to do is to evaluate your struggle when they see the finished product. So you can't see me, and not see my struggle.
Yeah.
But you can see me and say, "Oh man, I want to be where you at." Okay, well you don't know my story.
I'm gonna say this.
You don't know my story.
Exactly. That's why we're doing this podcast.
But your struggles are few and far in between. Because when it's good, it's good, and most of the time it's good more than it is bad.
Right.
So and that's the thing that I like to tell my younger cousins. Understand something. It look good, but sometimes you got to learn how to ride the wave. Because sometimes that undercurrent can be too strong.
Right.
And it'll overtake you. Learn how to ride the waves. When you high, ride.
Right.
And when it dip down low, ride it. Just don't let it take you under.
Right.
And so that's the thing that we teach them.
That's so hard. That's one of the things too. When you think about that, and you think about day-to-day life, pushing through the hard times, and especially when it come down to marriage, people be so ready to give up so easily. Oh, she ain't did what I like. She ain't cooking every day, and what you call it, and coming home and giving it to me all upside my head whenever I wanted, and this and that, and doing this with the kids and this and that, and vice versa with the man. Oh, he don't make $150,000 a year. All of that old crazy stuff. Looking at all of this stuff. Oh, he gotta have this and drive this car and all of this stuff and maintain me and all this, all that old stuff. I mean, and people are so quick to give up. Oh, I didn't have one problem. I didn't need this now. I ain't doing it. You ain't gonna. Man, you gotta push. Marriage is not easy. It's nothing easy about it. If you haven't learned anything from either of us all this time, it's not
easy.
it is
worth
a
it.
commitment.
Well,
It is
you gotta
so
think,
worth it.
people who give up, and I mean, here I go with this thing again, but people who give up, that stems from a background of quitting.
Yeah.
Because once you quit, you're a quitter for life. You know, so you can quit if you quit at something, and you don't have the fortitude to push through, then that says something about the individual. The individual, because marriage is one of the hardest things you're gonna ever do. Because you're taking two people from different households with different mindsets and putting them together to try to work this life out between two people who become one. So yeah, that's hard. Now you can quit at it, yeah, and you can quit and give all kind of excuses and whatever. But at the end of the day, you just quit. You just quit. You know, you just like when you run and you say I'm gonna run 3 miles, but you run one and you quit. You still quit. You quit on yourself. You quit on yourself. You quit on your family. You quit on your marriage. Whenever you quit, it ain't just you. You're quitting on yourself and you're quitting on other people who depend on you. So you have to have a level of responsibility to make you say, you know, like when I was in the military, I had a team. Okay, I had a job to do in that team. They wasn't looking for me to not do my job. They were knowing that he gonna handle this. Okay, whether I'm sick, cold, fever, whatever, I gotta handle. They ain't worried about that because that's my job.
Yeah.
I handle that no matter what. Well, in a marriage, I have a job. I have a role to play. This is what I handle. She can't sleep comfortably if she have to worry about me doing this. She can't be comfortable if she has to see, well, let me check and see if he did this. Let me check and see if he did that.
Talking about peace of mind.
Yeah, she has to know that I don't have to worry about that because I know he has that. And that is part of the battle especially when you're dealing with women, because women want to feel a level of comfort because black women have been placed in certain roles where they have had to be strong for so long. Like our parents and grandparents and great grandparents, the black woman had to be strong for so long, and if you never give them a reason or a place to where they can be weak or they can be comfortable, then you're never going to get to see that.
Right.
So you have to do what you have to do as a black man or whatever man that is with that woman. You have to do your part to make them feel like, okay, I can let my guard down. I can be okay. I know I don't have to worry about that. He has that. And until you do that, you're never going to see that part, you know, but we have responsibilities, you know, and I always say, men have to do what men have to do, no matter what.
No matter what.
You got to do what you got to do. So some people have the option to say, well, I won't do it because I don't feel like it. Men don't get that option. Men, you have to show up every day, do what you got to do, no matter what. Because sometimes the wheel doesn't turn till you push it.
But you know, I think this is where in our community, this is where we fail. We fail because we don't give a lot of black men don't give guidance to the young brothers. And the guidance they give is the guidance from the 80s.
Well, yeah.
And so this is because you have to look at the situation that they're going through their lenses right now.
Right.
When we were coming up, we had challenges, but the challenges are much more difficult now than they were now. Right. Because this is why I say that. When we grew up, we didn't know a lot of black people that lived in affluent neighborhoods. You may have one or two.
No, you're right. You're right about that.
Hey, man, look. Now the game is kind of flipped.
Yeah.
You don't know that many people that don't live in affluent neighborhoods.
Well, it depends on your circle. Your circle of people.
The thing is, now you see it more with them. You see it more. Now, what has happened is that the money game and the success game has been pushed now.
Yeah.
Now it's being pushed more than ever now than it was before.
Because of social media.
Yeah, because of social media.
I think that was a big mistake. That social media was a big mistake.
And so what has happened is now you see people. Well, it's a double-edged sword. Right. And the thing is, now you look at people on social media and you see their success.
you see a lot of people masking.
Highlight reels.
Yeah, you see highlight reels on social media.
Yeah.
You don't see what's actually going on in the background.
Right.
You know,
And that's why a lot of people do have mental health issues at the end, because they feel like they're failing to live up to this standard that
they feel like when they get to certain ages, they need to have this accomplished or that
Yeah,
accomplished.
and that's not real.
That's not necessarily. I was looking at something last night on Apple TV. Apple TV that had to do with the first call, being the first. It was African Americans and being the first on the call sheet. The actors being the first one. Your name is the first one on the call sheet.
Right.
Morgan Freeman said something that shocked me. He said his name wasn't number one on the call sheet until he was 50 years old.
See?
But you know that. But
50.
But think about this. Just think about this. Now people look at take Morgan Freeman. Warren Buffett didn't make his first million until he was in his 60s.
Talk about it. And but what we're not teaching them that. What we see on social media is everybody can be an influencer. Everybody can play these games. And
They want the easy. They want the easy way. It's overnight success in the easy way. So they're not putting work in.
Well, you know, the thing is this here.
It's discipline.
It's discipline.
You can be an influencer, but it's discipline.
That's a tough game. Influence is a tough game, because I'm telling you, the traditional jobs that we had, the plants, all this stuff getting ready to play out. Because once new technology comes, then I don't need you to sit there and watch these computers. I have AI to do that. And so what we have to do is that we have to put I feel like this is my responsibility. My responsibility is to change the trajectory of my kids. That's my responsibility.
Yeah.
My responsibility is show them how to work smarter and not harder. My responsibility is to show them this is how the game is played. And the thing is that me and Val has always had that idea, but we never could at that time find out how to get in this game.
Yeah.
Until things came about where changing of jobs and things like that. Then
your circle has to change.
I found out how to get in this game.
Yeah, your circle.
Because with us, I'm not ashamed to admit is that she always drops the idea in my mind. Boom. For instance,
But he don't move on it right away.
No.
because it has to be the right time.
Other people have to tell him.
No, I'm all. But you know what? I'm all about timing, because if it's not in the right time, then it won't happen. Wouldn't happen correct. So the thing is, what I believe, as I look at all our young people, I see things are changing for them. If you look now, for us, it was easier to get a house when we were young. Right now, you see a lot of young people living with their parents because they can't afford to have that. And so the issue is, you got yes, they want to be successful.
Yeah.
But you don't have the teaching. Like our daughter's a teacher.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but it brings you back to the mental health, though.
Yeah.
Because now they are being pressed in a whole different way than we were.
Yeah.
It is insane. They can't handle none of that. I mean, nothing can go wrong without your whole world is crumbling down. Like, it's like they can't go through
Nothing.
near the stuff that
go through nothing.
It's like, I don't understand it. Like,
that's why the saying is when our parents went through, there's a cat that said, he walked wherever he went. His son rode the bus, but it says he walked, his son rode the bus. His son had a car, then his grandson gonna be walking again. He said, because tough times make strong people. Strong people make easy times. Easy times make weak people. We are in easy times right now. People don't realize how tough times really were and how easy times are now.
It ain't easy.
Well, no, because
Okay,
let me go. Because when you speak of easy times, it's relative to the times when times were tough.
Yeah.
So tonight, right now, we are living in a time frame that is freaking easy as hell.
Right.
Compared to the people who raised and taught us.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the way we grew up, we were all of us were latchkey kids. We went in the house at 9. I could cook a whole Sunday meal.
Yes.
You know, I paid bills. I ran all my errands in the house. As a kid. You know, these kids can't do nothing.
Right.
And when they wake up on side the bed and they phone don't work, they break down and they losing their mind. You know, they can't. These kids are weak.
Hold on, Les. I seen a video. Prime example of what you talking about. I seen a video back in the 80s. The mama told the kid, "Hey, go put some eggs. Put me 3 eggs on the stove." Right? The kid knew to go in there, get a pot of water, put the eggs on the ball. Fast forward to 2025, mama tells the kid, "Go put me 3 eggs on the stove."
She put them on the stove.
Go sit the 3 eggs on top of the stove.
Girl.
Shell everything. Don't put it in the pot.
No,
Didn't even get a pot out.
it's the one. It's the one when the lady telling her daughter, the pot is hot. The pot is hot. The motherfucking pot is hot. Damn.
You don't understand. And I'm sitting here going, these children.
Yeah, not
These
children.
days.
These grown people. They got that sense go game go.
Look.
Now,
Go ahead, Walt.
now I have a different outtake.
Okay, go ahead.
Because the things that they're doing at their age, see what we did at our age, doing that was small. Mm-hmm. No, small. That can prepare you to be a cook in a restaurant.
Yeah.
The things that they're doing now, social media, all these things, that is something that we couldn't do in our wildest dream.
We're trying to get somewhere where we can pay somebody to go get our groceries for us and to cook our meals. That's what this is how these kids are thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the thing is,
because you just sitting eggs on the stove, that was too much for me.
But if you okay to say, but see, I get what you're saying, Walt. But to say that we can't do it or we couldn't do it, we weren't put in the position to do it because of the way we grew up. I don't think there's nothing that we couldn't do. At that point, but we never had to do it.
Yeah, we were evolved. Y'all remember when the cell phones used to be bigger than this glass?
Yeah.
You seen them?
Because you got to think about everything that we've had to learn to do.
That was so.
We've had to learn to do everything.
Yeah.
Be able to have
But
a
see,
cell phone.
but this is how I look at it. If we look at the kids of today and say they can do minimum things,
Right.
then as parents, we were minimum parents because we taught them.
But we spoiled them.
Yeah,
I own
and
it.
so this is
We own it. We gotta own that too.
But this is how I like to look at it. I like to look at it like Val just said, is that we raised them to have people do that for you, not in an arrogant way, but in a position that you are able to do that.
Yeah, this is our fault.
Yeah. And so the thing is, I think it's not our fault. I think that we instilled in them
to dream.
That's right.
To dream big. You know, I know for our kids personally, the sky is not your limit. It's beyond the sky.
Right.
But there's never anything wrong with that, though.
It's nothing wrong with it, but you also have to teach them when it comes to how to be able to handle it. You know what I'm saying? Now I can clearly tell y'all, my son, since we've been here, 3 cars that are all gone. You know what I'm saying? So that's an irresponsibility there that he had to learn. You gotta walk. You know what we used to say when you put one foot in front of the other. He had to learn to get it that way.
But you learn that. But you know, we were taught, like my first car. My first car was a 1980 something, 82 Dodge Colt, looked like a bubble, and it caught on fire on me. You know, and I was so child. I threw a rod in.
It was a 1929.
I threw a rod in the thing, man.
Or whatever
Man,
it is.
and the funny thing, I was so hurt. Oh Lord, I was hurt, and I had to let my grandmother know that my car caught on fire.
Why did it catch on fire?
Because I was driving irresponsible. I threw a rod in it. I was just driving, shifting the gears and all that, and just running, acting a fool in it.
He did that too.
And man, I was hurt, boy. I had to tell my grandmother my car broke down. Oh Lord, but because I knew she saved it. She bought the car. I had to put money with it, but we bought that car.
Yeah,
you know. So when you spend your money, when you about to buy something, that's the thing with these kids. They ain't spend their money.
Well, my son
You start spending your money.
Yeah.
But when they know that they got us to back them, you see, that's the thing. That's the thing. They know they ain't worried about nothing because they say, well, I know mama or daddy gonna take care of it. Yeah. And we put them in those positions to know that that we gonna take care of it.
We had to cut the safety net off though.
But yeah.
Do that.
But for dreamers to dream, they have to dream and have backup. Because the thing is, me growing up, I had to get it.
But you didn't have backup because you was the backup.
And because I, that's why I'm thankful for my wife. I was taught to survive.
Right.
Oh, we can talk about that.
She was taught to dream.
Yeah.
So I was raised to survive.
There's a difference.
That's the difference how people raise men and they raise girls are different.
I always said there's a difference between being raised to survive and being raised in love. Because in certain households, because we go back to childhood, in certain households, it was always we gotta make it.
Yeah, it is.
And then in certain households, we got it. Just do what you need to do. And they would instill that in you. So we used to call those households of love. Being brought up in that love because everybody believed in you. And being brought up in a household of survival, if you don't do this, you ain't gonna make it.
Oh Lord, yes. Yeah. They have expectations of you.
You ain't gonna make it. Yeah. Like we love to say that little thing we used to call Walt. I never did like that too much. Walt, when he graduated high school, he was a thank you Lord. My thing is, I don't care if you was magna cum laude, summa cum laude, or just a
cum laude,
graduate, cum laude, just a graduate.
You graduated.
You made it.
Yes.
You graduated.
Right.
That's an accomplishment,
a huge accomplishment
in itself.
Right.
These rankings, that's for the college level, and that's a scam in itself. But listen. There's a difference. And one thing, like he said, I was brought up to dream. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. We're risk takers. I wanted him to latch on to that. Hey, let's take some risks because we were taught no risk, no reward. And that's how you get the bag. You have to take the risk to get the bag.
Right.
We talking about influences. Like I was just saying, you have to be disciplined to get the bag.
Yes.
It's not gonna happen overnight. When people sitting here telling you where it happened, they lying. They lying. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And all it takes is one.
One.
All it takes is one. And what I mean, it could be one video, one podcast, all it takes is one. And once you put that one out there, then the others will start to, and it's a snowball effect. Yeah. That's how it happens. But it takes discipline first. And so the thing that I used to teach the young folks, my students, you have to be disciplined.
And it's so hard.
That's a word that people don't know. People don't know nowadays.
Discipline is so hard. Like sometimes you don't have that discipline. And then it creates so many other things because, like Rob was saying before, then you feel like, oh, I'm a failure. I didn't live up to the standard.
But that's not an absolute. That's the thing that he was saying. That's just not true. Yeah. But we didn't got to a place where we teach our kids, and I hate that you are a failure. Let me tell y'all something about little black boys. Little black boys are not cookie cutter like our black men. They're not cookie. They learn differently. You have to teach them differently. Because I was an educator, still an educator, but I was in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I picked up on, we can't teach them like we teach the girls.
No.
They learn.
The girls is gonna pick
learn different.
Yeah, the girls are more mature and all this, and they're gonna. Black men black boys need that extra. I ain't gonna say codifying, but they need that extra padding.
Number one, you got to hold
Not-
their
To,
attention.
to land.
Not even
Yeah,
that.
oh,
Not even that. You have, you know, like it's like we had a friend of ours who had 3. You remember the lady who used to do our taxes when we had the business,
Right.
our bookkeeper. She had she had 2 sons, 2 big boys, and she came to us one time. She said, I can't get through to them. I said, it ain't scared of nothing. I said, boys have to be, fear is a form of respect. I don't know why people get away from that. They scared of that. They just say that, you know, you can't get out and have your kids have emotions and let them speak. No, fear is a form of respect from boys. If they are never scared of anything, they're gonna do whatever they want to do, and you can't control them.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that.
Even when you go to school,
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that.
even when they go to school,
Right.
That's why they get coaches involved with them, because they have to have somebody that they worried about.
Yeah,
If they ain't ever worried, they're gonna do whatever they want to do.
I have to agree
And
with you on that.
until you get that point through them kids, that's how boys learn.
Yeah.
Pain is the influencer. Believe me,
I
pain
believe
is an
you.
influencer.
You know,
When you put boys in a certain positions and they hurting, oh, you can teach anything. Teach them anything at that point. But if
Yeah.
they are never scared or never uncomfortable, you ain't gonna teach them nothing, because that wonderful thing that we got in our body called testosterone is a voice in your head saying, "Fuck it, do this. Fuck it, do that. Fuck it, do this. Fuck it,
Yeah.
do that."
Yeah.
And that's how it
Yeah.
works.
yeah,
That's how it works.
yeah,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you know, as going back, like I said earlier, that we don't do we do things in our own time. Like
Yeah.
I was talking about the water, drinking the water in the morning. You know, it's not until I said, man, I got a little heartburn in the morning.
Yeah, when something hurting, you gotta change
Let me
something.
change this.
the pain.
Yeah.
That's what Lester was saying. The pain.
Yeah,
Don't wake up trying to go to work, think I'm going to work in the morning and my truck gone.
The pain.
I'm uncomfortable
the pain.
now, so something
pain.
gotta change.
That's what I'm doing. My truck gone. You know.
Yeah.
But my other question: why is it so hard for men to get on board with therapy?
Well, because they think, number one, it goes back to what I say. First of all, you got to realize that you have a problem.
Right.
And that thing, because at one time, before I went to therapy, I thought everybody thought like I did. I thought everybody woke up mad like that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, nobody ever said nothing differently.
Right.
And I worked in environments that were aggressive.
And when you work with other men, we all the same way.
And so when working in environments that are aggressive, it just feeds your aggression. I
Yeah.
went to the military, aggressive.
Yep.
I worked at the sheriff's department, aggressive.
That's
I worked
right.
at FedEx, aggressive.
Yep.
It was aggressive.
So you got to
And
think about us, how we
It's
are.
not until I went to HEB, I was like,
Everybody's so passive. You like, what's wrong with these people?
what the hell is going on here?
All these soft ass people. What's wrong?
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on here? And so then, and then it's okay to be aggressive, but I found out that my aggressiveness was over the top.
Yeah.
It was
But
extreme.
you
Yeah.
don't think about that there's a reason why, you know, you had all of those other jobs, but then you ended up with that one. It
Yeah,
took
for
you
that.
a while.
Yeah, for
but
that.
Did you see the end result?
Yeah, because I understand. Me and Val talk about it all the time. Because I go off the thing that she says: nothing happens to you; it happens for you.
Right.
And so the thing is that we talk all the time, because I was in those aggressive environments, it never was exposed.
But you know,
Because it would just feed feed what I was doing, because they would use that as a strength. And so when I
Right.
got to HEB,
Now we on.
then it's like, oh no! At first I'm like, they soft.
yeah, right.
And then I got to the point where I'm going off every day in meetings. I got these people shook up. They
Yeah, when you walk in, they like, hold on,
yeah. They would be reluctant to tell me something.
Yeah.
And you know, now and then I got to a point I was saying, you know what? I think I got something going on here.
Yeah.
I think it's me.
But when you
Yeah.
when you in your situation, think about, okay, and I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a numbers person, so I look up, I Google numbers just because. But if you did a population, look at the population of the country, 60% of the most aggressive people in the country, in the world, are men. That's just a fact, because men are the more. If you took 100 people the more aggressive people in that group would be men. That's just the way it is. So to find a man that's aggressive all the time, it's like throwing a rock at a wall. One of them gonna hit, one of them gonna stick. You know, it's just the way that men are. So to be in a group of men and be aggressive is not out of the ordinary. It's not. It's just if you are in a group of passive men, is more out of the ordinary than aggressive men.
But this is the bullseye. There's nothing like an aggressive black man.
That's right.
We already on point.
Or a black woman that speaks her mind.
Okay.
Because
You're labeled, you know, the angry black woman.
Let's look at what they trying to do to Jasmine Crockett right now.
Right.
And just for the record, I'm standing 10 toes down with her.
Yes, indeed.
You gotta ride
when
with
I
her.
first called him Governor Hot Wheels, and they have called people much worse on their side.
Insane.
You know,
all of the making fun of everybody that has disabilities or anybody that disagrees with it. And it's like, okay,
Now, let me explain something since I brought it up with the Governor Hot Wheels thing, because I did it on one of my podcasts about 3 years ago. I called them that, and certain people clutched their pearls. The thing about that is it was never about his disability.
Right.
It was
Right.
about his policies.
His policies.
And what he's doing to disable people.
Right.
Because how can you be disabled? Y'all, this
Come
is
on
a
now.
side note.
Come on now.
And you killing the policies that help people
Other
like you.
disabilities,
Other
exactly.
disabilities. You
Like you.
make him, but you see
That's
what that
a
does.
special kind of
Let me
evil,
tell you
but we
something.
don't-
But let me tell you what that was.
The entitlement to him.
Let me tell you what that is.
Different.
Now he sued the city because a tree fell on him. That's how he got in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
The tree fell on him, right? Broke his legs or what have you. He sued the city behind the tree. Then when this dude was a senator in the Texas Senate, what did he do? Crafted a
Crafted
bill
it, yep.
that nobody else could sue like that.
That's right.
That's a special kind of evil.
But that's what you have when you have people
Y'all.
who are more concerned about their place as a whole in this thing, in the power structure.
Yeah.
So what they do is they basically cut off their nose to spite their face because they worried about some other people. So what he's done is just like what's going on in the federal government. You got all the people who voted for these people to be in the White House that need everything that they discontinuing.
They upset.
But they cut off their nose because they're worried about another group of people who don't make but 14% of the country up, and worry about them,
Yeah.
and don't realize that you done shit on yourself,
Right.
Because
Right.
you worried about these people.
So you worrying about the wrong people. 'Cause
Right.
See, now we're trying to do away with the Department of Education. Now I know the Department of Education takes care of what? Special education.
Yes.
Again, we back to disabled people. We're back to people with mental disabilities. All of this stuff.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
So I'm saying all this to say this: voting has consequences. Now back to our podcast. We're still dealing with mental health.
We're still with mental health. I want to know, for you, what part of our journey in our marriage made you feel like we needed therapy? Was it at the point that I said, okay, we either gonna divorce or I need you to do therapy. I need you to do this, that, and that. What part did you say? Because Walter said what his breaking point was. What made him realize it was him having? What part was it that you said, okay, I know now, after all them years, you were saying, nope, no therapy. I ain't talking to nobody about nothing. I don't want nobody to know our business. That you said, hey, I know we're gonna need some help. I'm gonna have to give in and go to therapy now.
I would say when I went through all that and I knew that I said that whatever it takes. And see, I'm that person. If I tell you whatever it takes, that means if I got to go to the moon, I'm going to the moon.
Yeah.
You know, I don't quit. I don't complain. I push through no matter what. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so when I said I'm in, we're going to do whatever it takes to get this right, then whatever it takes is whatever it takes, no matter what. So that's just the way I think about stuff. So I don't, I don't have that in me to go back once I say that. So I'm willing to. I'm in the fire, and a lot of times I used to tell her, "Look, I'm in the fire with you. I'm right here with you," because she would be mad and fussing right there. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here with you."
But I love that you said whatever it takes, because Walter Toots had, he came and he said, we have to fix this no matter what. You say no, whatever it takes, and his thing was no matter what. That, ladies, that means we had men.
Yeah.
Who loved us so much that they did the work necessary to make our marriages work. I remember when we were in church like that, they used to say that marriage working was the man's responsibility. That's what they used to teach us.
Well, now I'm tell you, Reverend Adolph told me something one time.
What did he say?
I see him in the gym all the time. So me and him was talking, but he told me, he said, him and Reverend Whiff were real good friends. And he told me one time, he said, if that chariot come down here, because I forgot what he was talking about. He said, but if that chariot comes today, he said, he ain't coming, God ain't coming looking for her. He coming looking for your mama, your dad. He coming looking for you.
Right.
Because you are the head of that marriage. You are the head of that household, and it's your responsibility. He said when God came to the Garden of Eden, did he say, Eve, where you at? He said, Adam, where art thou? Because he gave the law to Adam. He did not give it to Eve. Adam disseminated the law to Eve, but he gave it to Adam. Adam was responsible. So when Reverend Adolph told me, they say, you are responsible.
In other words, you're the one responsible for making your marriage work.
Exactly.
Because see, a woman is there to cultivate whatever you give her.
Right.
Whatever you give her is gonna blossom. It's gonna grow.
Women multiply.
Yes.
They multiply everything you give them.
So that's what they used to teach us.
And I think to a point that is sometimes when you look back over the movies, and if you look back at like some of our relationships growing up, some women are just naturally submissive to a point, even when it's and when it's not good for their health.
I'm not
Not me. They just by way. Okay, I don't care what's going on. I don't care if he doing this outside, whatever. Long as I'm being taken care of, I'm on. Some women are he going upside my head, whatever. That's the way it makes. Some women are okay with all of those things, but when you talk about Renaissance women, or we talking about women of today, and I'm talking about me specifically, I'm gonna follow a man, and we'll follow like this one here to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
If he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
If he's handling his business. Not saying he is perfect, but if he's handling his business, number one, I feel safe with him.
Yeah.
I feel safe. I don't care what happens. I mean, like, for example, just this is something small. When it comes down to when him working the way that he works, sometimes the shift work, and one time I was at home and I heard some drops of water from somewhere, but I didn't know where that water was coming from, but I heard something dripping on the floor. Next thing you know, like literally the whole roof just kind of caved in because there was a pipe that was leaking for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And literally like this hole just caved in. And it bothered me, but in my heart of hearts, it didn't bother me because you know how I knew it felt like God, like you feel about God. Like he's always gonna take care of me no matter what I go through. That's what I felt when it came down to him. Because I said, he is going to take care of that. I don't have to worry about how that's gonna get fixed. I don't have to worry about where the money gonna come from to fix it. Because he always makes sure that we good. I always feel safe with him. What he says he's gonna do, he gonna do. He might not always be right, but at the end of the day, he gonna maybe be mad for a little bit, but at some point, even from now, when we learn therapy has helped, he gonna come back and gonna say, babe, I'm sorry, I didn't do X whatever. Let's work this out. Let's push through. Let's whatever. It can be something like that, or it can be any little thing that happens, but I feel safe with him because he always, number one, stands on his word. Whatever it is he's saying. When he said way back then, he said whatever it takes. I don't know if I was on the other side and all that we have been through at that point, it probably would have been easier for me or for him just to walk away and start over.
Yeah.
It was harder to continue to go through that fire.
Absolutely.
To get to where we are now. And I will say I prayed for that. I prayed for God to restore our marriage through all of that to what it is. And when I tell y'all what I prayed for, God sits back when you talk to him and you ask him for things. He loves an opportunity to blow our mind.
Okay.
Off of those things that we have asked him for, like that little mustard seed of faith. When you have that and you stand on it, you like, God, I'm thanking you in advance for what you're going to do in my marriage. I'm thanking you in advance because we're going to be an example for those people that have gone through the fire, and they can say, oh, well, we ain't going through nothing compared to what Leslie and Lester went through. And if God, my daddy said this, if God can bring y'all through what he brought y'all through, he can do anything. And so you think in your mind, Lord, why am I going through this? Why'd you choose me? Why'd you choose me to go through this? God, I'm not strong in this for this, but he chose you for that, not just for you to go through what you go through, but so that other people can know if God can bring them through, he can bring you through. So God will get the glory out of all those things, all the things that you have gone through, all the things in our marriage. God gets the glory at the end of the day. Because we can say we wouldn't have made it without God. But at the end of the day, also, we wouldn't have made it if I wouldn't have had faith in him. If he wouldn't have stood on his word and did exactly what he said he was going to do. All of those times when it seemed like we'd be doing fine and I'd be triggered, something I see on TV or I hear a song or something. And next thing you know, I turn into the Tasmanian devil all over again. And we're supposed to be like working through, we're supposed to be making progress. And he would take it every single time. Me crying and screaming and hollering and cussing and telling you this and that. You did this to me. You didn't. I'm still hurt. He took it. He took it. He went through that therapy. He owned it. He owned it.
He owned what he did.
He owned it because he said that he was going to do whatever it takes. I'm so thankful to him.
Don't think it back in my mind. I'll be like, boy, why are you saying that? God damn it. Because you know, I'm a stickler for my word. So sometimes I'll be like, God damn. Say I'm gonna do this.
But that's who you are, though, babe. That's who you are. That's who he is.
Man of integrity.
Even to our kids. Our kids know. I mean, you call it spoiled, you call it whatever, but they know. They can go to their
You say I'm not spoiled. My husband loves me.
My husband loves me. That's what my church said. I am spoiled, but he loves me. You know, and
I used to tell her because we used to get into it when the kids were little, and I'd be like, "Did we tell the kids we're gonna do such and such and such?" And she said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, we gotta do it then." She said, "Well, no, we gotta." I said, "No, we told them we're gonna do X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
we gotta do it. We can't. You don't do it to kids.
Because you don't do it to kids, and it's a thing." When you were growing up, maybe it was a lesson that you learned. You never wanted to be let down.
No, my grandfather was like that.
My big thing was I never wanted to let my kids down because I hated growing up and being let down. I hated that. You know, I had a couple of times my parents forgot my birthday.
What?
They were working.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Well, my mama was really a stay-at-home wife, but she used to go to my grandmother's house all the time. They'd be working. My grandmother had a club. They'd be working and completely forgot my birthday. And then the next day, they was crying more than I was.
Yeah.
Because they forgot. But even when I didn't get grown, no, they didn't forgot my birthday. So my thing is, how I operate is, you don't make a big deal out of me, not going to make a big deal out of you. And it could be my parents, it could be my brother, it could be anybody. You know, you don't make a big deal out of me, I'm not going to make a big deal out of you. And I had to learn it because it was on several occasions with forget my birthday, and I'm like, as a parent, how you forget the birthday? But I made sure with my own kids,
especially if it's your mama, you like you birthed me. How you forget?
With my own kids, I make a deal out of it. I never forget. You know, so that so you keeping your word is probably from it's stem because a lot of stuff that we do now as adults is stem from our childhood.
Oh Lord, yes. Oh Lord, yes. I believe that. But I believe that I had we talked before. I believe my childhood was good. Right. I had a good childhood, because especially when I moved with my grandparents, I believed, I thought everybody had a childhood like mine. When I realized that everybody didn't, I'm like, wow, what your parents do? What, I thought everybody had horses and hunted and fished and all that.
I think a lot of our childhood shapes us, but I would say, for me with my childhood, I chose to look at the good things. There's times when my childhood was hard because my parents divorced when I was young. It wasn't an easy divorce, but and was thankful for my aunts and my grandparents that helped my dad with us, and then as we became adults and my mom was back in our lives, and I'm thankful. But I look back on some of those times and I'm like, there are some things that we're lucky that we made it through. My brother and my sister, that we made it and we pushed through all of those things that, gosh, they're so could have destroyed us. Even though I got pregnant super young in high school, still I turned out, by the grace of God. It's just what God meant for you. And I look back on all of those things that I went through, and it made me a stronger person. It made me be the person that I am. It made me be more resilient. It made me be like, it doesn't matter what people say about me, what they think about me. I'm going to go forth and do whatever makes me happy. I have that instilled within me to work hard, to treat people the way I want to be treated, to try to give back, in some type of way, and to always have humility. But at this point, mean what you say what you mean.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
And take care of yourself. If that means finding somebody that you can talk to, that means cultivating, your marriage and willing to go through whatever it is, the fire, whatever it is, because, I done been with this man for so long, since I've been 15, even though I've been married in between that. I've been knowing him, and he's been in my first love for so long, it's like, I couldn't even imagine being with nobody else right now. I done been through so much with him. I don't even have the strength to go through with nobody else, and don't want to.
Hello.
But, at the end of the day, it's like, you got to realize whatever it takes to get through, you got to think about your marriage, the health of your marriage. What is it going to take me to continue to get better? Like I said, I prayed for God to restore our marriage after all of that. When I tell y'all he did it tenfold, he said, you have spoke those things into being. You are doing exactly what I have told you to do, no matter how hard it was. But it was easy for you to walk away. That I'm going to show up and show out. That's exactly what he's done. He has just blew our mind with the restoration. Because we trusted him with it. Well, we trusted him with everything.
One thing I can honestly say is that the therapy, it did transform our marriage. We don't argue. And what I mean by that is we respect each other now when disagreements happen.
Right.
Now, when we early in marriage, baby, we used to go at it. Okay. We used to go
to war.
Pound for pound, all this. Hey, it was love and war.
Wow. Can you see how you got evolved?
But it transformed our marriage going to therapy, because now we can talk like mature adults, and we have learned that it is better to communicate than try to read each other's minds. It's just better for him to say, "Val, I don't feel like doing all that today. I'm not finna do all that today. Now, if you want to do it, you go right ahead. But I'm not doing that today." And he don't get a well, why or whatever. He gets okay. You know why? Because I understand now.
You understand now.
Because if it's something that he wants to do that Val don't want to do, I don't feel like doing that. And and it's okay. All right. Well,
and it's not a big old thing now. And it's
right.
Not,
It doesn't make my world come
Crashing
end.
down.
Yeah. And so we've learned to balance those things, and that's how it has truly transformed our marriage for me. You know, because he's more attentive. You know, he paying attention. But now, when it's work time, I ain't getting no. I might get a kiss. And I might get a pat on the butt, and then you go about your business.
Be focused. You got stuff you got time to make the donuts.
I got stuff I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's the balance.
The balance.
And it's like, you know, like you were saying, like with both of you guys being home. Normally, when people are like that and both of them are home, you have more time that you're spending with each other. If you don't have that respect and that appreciation that y'all have over all that time, you know what ends up happening? People end up getting divorced.
Right.
They get into trouble because, number one, they're not used to being with each other. Do you really like each other? Do you have that appreciation and respect for each other? And number one, you got to have something else that you do outside of your spouse every day. You can't look for your joy to come from your spouse.
Oh, no.
Will bring you joy, but you got to find your own joy. You got to have your own.
That's true. And it goes back to thinking that your husband or your wife is supposed to make you happy. Yeah. I heard, Lord, we did this podcast over Will Smith and Jada Smith. Listen, I don't mean it like what they have going on, but what I do mean is, I got to say that because
the situation works for them.
whatever worked for their marriage, that's great. Right. But what I'm saying is, I had to learn how to love myself. Walter had to learn how to love himself. And make himself happy. And I had to learn how to make myself happy. And then when we get together, it explodes.
Yeah.
You know, because baby, we have the time of our life.
Well, you happy people already.
We're happy people.
We happy people.
You know, and so it enhances his happiness. Enhances mine and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how marriage should be.
It shows too.
Yeah.
It shows, but you know,
we have fun.
Yes.
It really does.
Because Leslie looks at me, Leslie be telling,
because Leslie even telling me I need one of them fans, you know, like where them fans. He said, no, you need one of them fans because I'm always trying to learn the line dance. Yeah. I said, I want to do it without the fan. He talking about you need a fan. No, I want to do it without the fan.
Come on, come over here one night.
Yeah,
we gonna do the dances, girl.
We gonna do it.
See, I'm always laughing. I'm always laughing at something.
The laughing is
I'm always laughing at something. And she was like, what you laughing at now? What you laughing at now? I'm like, child, I'm gonna laugh at something. I gotta give me some jokes in somewhere.
I never seen nobody that laugh more than you in my life. He laughed with himself all the time, constantly.
They just be me.
But I'm thankful for that because there was a time like Walt, he used to walk around here being mad all the time. He used to say, you gotta frown. Why are you frowned up?
Yeah.
He wouldn't even realize he would be frowned up because he was so used to frowning.
Yeah.
People would think he was so mean all the time, but he's not.
Yeah.
He just don't fool with everybody.
Yeah.
But if he fool with you, he fool with you.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, so I'm so thankful that, and we have our own things that we do. And I used to like him going to the gym to get on my nerve that he had to go every day. Because us women, we gonna put ourselves to the side because, I want to go to the gym, but no, I gotta go home and cook. I gotta pick the kids up. I gotta do this. I gotta see about the grandbaby. Such need me here, whatever. I gotta do this at church. I gotta do this, whatever. And I'll be like, look, he gonna put himself first. It's gonna be work. And he gone to the gym, and then he gonna do whatever else.
But that's a
after that.
That's a beautiful thing how men can do that.
Yeah,
because they can. It comes if it. For me, Walter used to come off as selfish. Yes. But what I learned was it was just how he had his priorities set versus me having I had mine set.
So you need to set yours.
So I needed to set mine. Yeah. And once I did that, I became happy.
You became happier.
Yeah. So
that's what you have to do.
You have
ladies.
to do that.
You have to find out what's going to work for you. You still can take care of your own stuff, but you got to put yourself.
You got to put yourself first because the thing is. And it's not selfish. You putting your own self first because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
That is mental health, ladies. Yeah. That is mental health.
Yeah.
You gotta start taking the time saying, hey, I'm gonna start doing whatever. And not only that, you do that, and this is what I don't understand, and this is us. We always gonna cultivate our marriage. This is one of the things we look forward to this. But we look forward to to the things that we do together now. Because my mind said I'm always wanting to include the kids, excuse me, and they're grown.
Yeah.
And he's like,
no, they grown.
When we going to we taking the kids.
I don't want to include the kids. I love my
kids. She
want
to include the kids in everything. I'm like,
I don't want to include
no,
the kids.
them grown people. Them grown people. I don't take them nowhere. I don't take them nowhere.
I would like for them to go.
I don't know. I know.
I don't want them. I don't want to put the bill for
Thank
them
you.
going. That's
Right
all.
there. Thank you.
They are grown.
They grown. They grown people.
If they 30, ask me.
30. Shit. If they grown, they adults.
Jalen gonna be 30 this year. Look here, young.
Child, Leslie won't take them everywhere. I'm like,
I don't take them everywhere, but sometimes we do have to do things with the kids because you do be so busy, and not only us. We have an adult child with a mental health disability, so we can't just leave him at home all the time. There's no way. So and I mean, we just have to do that. But we we're gonna have our date night every week, and sometimes be a couple of days, and sometimes it's not necessarily we're going out, we're going to a restaurant, or we going here to the movie. Sometimes we're intentional about we're going to sit outside, we're going to have a walk. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna do some yoga. Doing anything. Yeah. We're gonna try this. We're going to go. We're gonna go work out together. It doesn't always have to be typically a day, but there's gonna always be time that we carve out something to do for ourselves.
Yeah, and
us together.
And that too is just part of the mental health,
part of mental
and
health.
The spiritual wellness because that's part of your connection.
Yes.
But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up next week.
We over 2 hours now.
Yeah, we're over.
2 hours already.
2 hours and 7 minutes. But we're gonna have a little editing going on. Y'all know we're gonna split this up. But next time we will be talking about being equally and unequally yoked and how that works out. Because I will tell you this, I was Baptist when I married Walt and he was Catholic.
Oh, and swapping around. I was Catholic and he was Baptist. So we had to leave and clean.
So we hanging on to it. So it's gonna be a good one. So what you saying?
In the unity of the Holy Spirit.
Wait, no.
Okay, y'all, we gotta go. We gotta go to these people.
He always be fussing every time he go to church.
We gotta go. We gotta go to these people
every Sunday.
We got every time y'all go to church. We only have it on first Sunday.
We only have it on first
Sunday.
Why they used to make fun of us because them ladies used to have them. Okay, y'all, we go.
Why y'all gotta have communion at the funeral? Y'all gotta have communion at
a funeral.
We just have to put this on our heads and have. Okay. Thank y'all for joining. We so silly, but y'all join us on the next one because that's what we're gonna be talking about. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all riding with us.
So much.
All right,
leave us some comments, y'all. Ask us some questions.
Yes, please.
We appreciate y'all so much.
We appreciate y'all. Until next time. Bye.